Greetings, folks. Welcome to today's new segment, the inaugural segment of Friday First Appearances. And today we will be discussing the first appearance of Darkhawk. Well, as you can see, his first appearance is, when it things, issue 1 back in March of 1991. Chris Powell. Wow. This is when comic books were still a buck. Great times, great times. I'm sure people even before then were like, oh, I remember when it was less than a buck. But for me, this was the standard price when I started heavily getting into comics. And yes, Darkhawk 1 is his first appearance. And let's see what the back looked like. Here's what it was like back in Castlevania 3, one of my most favorite games ever. Look at this. Look at that. Wow. 8-bit delight. Wow. Look at this. Look at the way things were back in the day. I know I went off on a real tangent. I got nostalgic all of a sudden. But hey, that's what this is all about, right? Nostalgia. Nostalgia. So back to Darkhawk again. Okay, the thing about Darkhawk, the reason I'm bringing him up is because as of earlier this week, maybe late last week, there's all kinds of speculation that he's going to be introduced in the Marvel Cinematic Universe soon. And I gotta admit, back in the day, I wasn't the biggest fan of Darkhawk because he wasn't a mutant back in the day. I was all about X-Men. It took me a while for me to get into anything outside of mutants, really, in my early teens, adolescent age, because that was, oh my gosh, that was my thing. I really, really enjoyed the X-Men really back then. I was more focused on, you know, the Executioner song, that kind of deal. Jim Lee, X-Men, X-Force coming out. Yeah, that was my jam back then. But the Darkhawk eventually grew onto me, but much later in my life. I was already in college at the time when a buddy introduced me to a world outside of mutants, outside of the X books, because the X titles was all I had the money for, really, other than Image books back in the early 90s. And he got me into the New Warriors, and I was reading that, and I saw Darkhawk there, but I always thought he was kind of he seemed really Power Ranger-ish to me, and I was already and Power Rangers at the time was a big deal, but I was at the age where I outgrew that. I was already, I think TMNT was pretty much the last of the properties back in the day that I liked. After that, I did watch like the Disney Darkwing Ducks and Gargoyles, but the idea of me getting toys or collecting comics and of those kind of things really didn't appeal to me anymore. I was already hooked on what I was hooked on, and focused on what Super Nintendo games, especially since 16-bit era was also a thing back then. I was focused on trying to get a Super NES, and I was thinking about JRPGs, Final Fantasy, that kind of stuff. Um, so yeah, I missed the boat on Power Rangers. I mean, I've seen the episodes, but I just never got into it like everyone else was really into it. And if I was younger, maybe, but that no, that just it missed me. And yeah, that's what kind of Darkhawk kind of represented, which is why it was hard for me to kind of take him seriously. But then all of a sudden, I was already in the army when I really truly learned to appreciate Darkhawk. Um, I was a big fan of Marvel space operas. Um, yeah, like really huge into the Marvel space opera stuff. Um, and I wasn't a real big fan of Nova until like real big fan of Nova until reading the Danny Abnett storylines of the Annihilation and stuff. And when they were going to introduce Darkhawk into that space opera, then I was like, wow, that all of a sudden I was like, maybe I should revisit Darkhawk. And yeah, I'm glad that at the time nobody was really feeling Darkhawk, and except for the really diehard fan base that knows about Darkhawk issue one. And yeah, and I learned to kind of join that group, the Darkhawk One movement. There is one more book that I want, but I can't get it now. It's out of reach now that this book has started to pick up. I was trying to get a Marvel Age, I believe it was 37, I forget, or 90, 97. One of them, which has one of is a preview appearance of Darkhawk, which might be a rarer book than issue one. I still may get a chance to pick it up, but it looks unlikely now that he's picked up steam. Yeah, Darkhawk was just one of many books in the early '90s, like Sleepwalker, Speedball. That, that again, it was just hard for me to give cool points to because I was so used to Wolverine, this badass with claws, Colossus. I was stuck on the X Men. That was my deal. You know, but yeah, like I said, it wasn't until I was already an adult in the army, went to war, all this other shit, and um, yeah, when I started to really appreciate um, Darkhawk, especially when he was in the War of Kings uh, series, with when they introduced the order, the fraternal order of the Raptors, which made the whole Darkhawk gimmick even cooler because like there's a whole like group of those guys out there that have their own you know plans and things, and I was like, wow, this is actually kind of cool. The fraternal order of the Raptors or fraternity of the Raptors, pretty dope. Um, and again, yeah, Darkhawk was. I'm just glad that he was part of all of that. That was it made it easier for me to go. Well, it looks like all the new warriors are finally starting to grow up. Because shortly afterwards, Speedball turned into Penance because of the Civil War thing and all a bunch of the goofy characters. What I thought was goofy at the time, they're all starting to get grown up, and Nova became a war hero in the Annihilation uh, story. So yeah, at any rate, Darkhawk One first appearance for Friday. This is the one, Darkhawk One, and before he becomes a real thing in the MCU, it now would be a really good idea to start picking it up. Now, I want to start off by saying first appearance Fridays will be more of a preview for Speculation Sunday, where I will be showcasing um, other Darkhawk related material. So, because like I said, I want y'all to know that I wasn't playing around when I said that I really became a fan of Darkhawk as I got older. And yeah, I started to pick up some of these series, and I was like, okay, cool, cool, cool. And yeah, well, that's for the next video, guys. But yeah, for the first segment, this is what I recommend. Darkhawk 1, folks. This is the one that you guys should be picking up. And I'll tell you more about it on Speculation Sunday. All right. Thanks for joining me. Uh, until the next video, ciao.